Could you join the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've had the minutes sent and reviewed. Those changes, that's satisfied. Karen did those for me. Anybody have? I'm not going to have a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as revised.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman, yes. Karen, get to the fiscal report here.
Financial statement, we have $959,410.68. We have correspondence from the Mahoning County Engineer's Office, his monthly newsletters here if anyone would like to read that. We have an invitation from the Ellsworth Presbyterian Church. Dedication of their steeple is on Sunday the 18th at 2 o'clock, open house to follow at 4. The Frank Yates NCAP classes that we have talked about numerous times, Mr. Stroney will be attending that in October, right? No, September 19th, correct? At 8 o'clock in Canton. And we had a letter prior from the trustees that we signed for the Western Reserve Baseball League, asking that there were certain things that we asked that they do before the next season starts, so that we are aware of what their activities are going to be and they know what our criteria is, which is already sent. What I need is an address. So if somebody has an address.
Can get you one and I'll email you that.
Okay, I
I'll do
appreciate that. Also, I have a estimate from Joe Joseph, who painted the building, to put back up on the front of the building, Ellsworth Township, and when it was established. I have a picture if anybody wants to see how it was originally. It would be in navy blue vinyl letters. The total cost is $200. So if we're going to do that, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we spend, you have a question?
Yeah, why don't we just do black, or does it read? I mean,
Well,
I know that the trim is navy blue, but I mean, I don't know if it
What?
doesn't
The cost
really
is
matter.
no different.
There's no difference in the color.
Yeah, he
It's profitable anyways, but, okay.
We got some blue accents out there. I think it would look good in navy blue. So I'll make a motion that we spend the $200 to replace the Ellsworth Township lettering above the door on this building.
Second more?
Yes, I'll second.
All in favor? Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman, yes. Any additional, Karen?
And that takes care of me. I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have the maintenance report. Matt?
Yes. Again, we had another busy month. The last Lloyd Road, we backfilled with slag there, and also the ball field, all the parking area from the wet spring. I used 8 yards of topsoil and seeded that. And thank you, Trustee Morrison, for your use of your backhoe for a couple of days there. That sure helped with
You're welcome.
making that job quicker, and probably saved us about $500 in a rental of a piece of equipment. I also installed some crosswalk signs on the last Lloyd there, and children crossing or playing. So maybe that should help with next year's baseball traffic. We installed the green team sign at the playground for the mulch, that they were funded the mulch for the playground. Also put no parking fire lane on the fire department doors. The signs we had were weather beaten, and they didn't say fire department or fire lane on them, so we changed those. The marquee sign, finally, all the parts came in and repaired that. I also repaired the sign on West Hill. The mowers, continually servicing them, and I put new blades on. Laura brought us a computer for the maintenance department. I've spent a couple hours on that with that Windows 8. Haven't had much office time, been out doing everything. I spent some time looking at cemetery programs and some other cemetery rules that maybe we can implement in the future. At our cemetery, we had one burial this month. We assisted in 2 burials at Berlin Township. Our trees were removed at the Ellsworth Cemetery. I submitted a bill, and they finally finished up last night late. They ground the stumps out, and then this morning we spent the day taking care of the chips and then seeded and strawed out, so that's completed. Also, when we had those trees down, we had a lot of trees that were hanging over some of the roads in the cemetery. I trimmed those up with a chainsaw and took advantage of the tree guy's chipper and got rid of those, so killed 2 birds with 1 stone. The cemetery rules, I provided you a copy of the cemetery rules. I found these. What I've also started to do, the cemetery was starting to look a lot of artificial flowers, dead flowers. People bring potted plants and they die and fall apart. I've been starting to remove some of those, and you may want to put that in a roundup that we're going to start to remove some of these items. I know that it's a sensitive issue for a lot of folks, but I've also noticed a lot of folks come once a year and then they never come back. And they get weather beaten, or they just need to be removed. So we started working on that. Also, as I mentioned about cemetery programs and rules, I know we talked about in the future maybe putting the cemetery on a program. I did a little investigation on that new computer. I'd like to take some time with that in the future and maybe even visit some other cemeteries and see what they're doing. But I don't want to jump on anything too soon. The Campfield display is up in the maintenance garage for review. Any organizations want to make changes, now's the time before we take it out. Crack sealing project with Berlin Township. We've been working on that. We're scheduled to start Ellsworth Township on Monday, so next week we want to start our roads. And the fire department maintenance post office parking lot. I'd like to have some discussion with you on that. I've had some mixed reviews about sealing or repaving. The one company that did the Elias Lloyd, he looked at it because he's the one that sealed it 2-3 years ago. He says it's not. He's not comfortable with sealing it. It needs to be resurfaced. The company that you had, Laura, what was his first name?
Greg. It was
Yeah. I met with him. He also said he didn't want to seal it. He was going to submit a bid on making some changes, grinding and some specs that we talked about. I don't know if he set a bid in or not. And then also the driveway company. He's in with Blacktop Specialist. He looked at it. He gave a price. And I told him what some of the repair areas that need to be done. Matter of fact, Blacktop Specialist, the owner called me and left me a message this afternoon. So if you want me to meet with him and see what he has to say, I can do that too. Or whatever other recommendations you have on that. But if we're going to do something, we should probably do it before the weather changes.
Yeah.
Well, where are these bids then? Did they get sent to Karen?
They were. I told them to mail them and seal them to the.
Yeah, I think we should keep them closed until we decide what we're going to do.
I'd like to open them and make copies and take a look at who's proposing what, because it looks like the areas, they might have different proposals for the different problems, so.
And you only received for the sealing it, right?
Those were the 3 people I talked to for sealing.
Okay.
2 of them said.
No one talked about the mesh. No one talked about
Yes, they have.
trending that we can do some new technology
Correct.
asphalt
remedies
rejuvenators.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
we had that information sent to us, if you remember, asphalt rejuvenators.
Yep, I called that guy and I told him the square footage, he said he wouldn't be interested in doing that at that time at our place. They had too much work.
But the two people that I did meet with, they did talk about the mesh program and grinding, and we talked about the specs on moving that parking area by the fire hall 10 feet out. And then that catch basin has to be raised also because of that. And also grinding down by the buildings so we can prevent any water from going into the buildings. So we
Right.
talked about a grading issue that had to be guaranteed.
Who did you speak with about that?
Everbright.
Okay. Because I think it's like a two-step thing. I mean, we're either going to try to kind of patch together what we have, or we're going to do it right and extend it so that it is usable for the room there.
Right.
Which would require us to get some of those proposals that we can look at and weigh that out too. You know, that was one of my 10 list there. I know that there's a grinding, and then you have to find a place to waste those grindings, and you would want to make valuable of those or talk to one of our other townships.
We talked about with one contractor earlier this year, is the grindings we take out, you know, from the concrete, they got to grade out till they see daylight, so we got to fall away from the building that the water doesn't lay on the concrete and become an ice hazard in the winter. But the grindings we can use in that we need to extend the whole parking lot 10 foot east because those parking spaces are too small, and we can use that grinding as a base for the new pavement.
And that's the two people I met with, that was one of the specs I told them.
Yeah. Looking at these envelopes, you know, we have one quote for sealing and one quote for, you know, the repaving job with the mesh. At this time, I don't think we should open these until we get more, you know, they should remain private bids.
No, we need to spec out what we're doing first. I mean, we need to look at, okay, here's what, you know, I mean, I'd like to see them, not that we're going to share the information at this point, but you know, if the parking lot job is going to be extended, then we have to put it out there and get quotes on extending it, and if it's over $50,000, then we have to go through the public bidding process. But you know, we haven't really decided. We're kind of looking and trying to get information as far as is there anything and what can we do to repair it and what kind of repair costs we're looking at. If we can't repair it, people say no, and we get the good feeling that, hey, you know, maybe we just let it go for another year or two until it's, you know, I mean, it's kind of not that bad yet, and then we do the whole shebang, you know.
Okay, what we did for Elias Lloyd Road, we talked to some experts. We kind of put together what we wanted. So for requirements for the job, and then we put out a sheet that this is what we want done, and then we let 3 or 4, 5 contractors bid on it. And we've got some advice on that parking lot already. If we let it go too long, we're going to lose everything, and it's going to be a total replacement rather than just what we got advice on from 2 people and the county was, you know, putting the membrane down and then paving over.
Well, here, let me say something here. We've been going here. I think we ought to wait. I think we need to give this more time. Table it now, and then look at that so we can consider those at that time without opening. And then there would be a fair, contractors would feel certain that it's being a fair shot for them. I mean, we want to be fair with those people too. That's what we should do. And I think we've got to give this more time, give it another month, and go a little deeper with this. That's what I think we ought to do. And table it, and Matt, you can bring more information, and we can leave those sealed up and
We need
do it
to.
that way. Because one-on-one, it sure doesn't give us a good barometer where we're at here.
Right.
Yeah, because, you know, before we did Elias Lloyd Road, I, you know, consulted the county, and they have experts down there, and we kind of made the specs with what they told us, what they use for overlay.
Correct.
You know, and that's where and they figured out, you know, how many tons of blacktop and how many tons of tack they use, and, you know, roughly how deep, you know, we should be milling for the butt joints and things like
Well, you
that.
want to work on a spec sheet, and then
Yeah.
I'll get a hold of...
Well, we're still not decided. You know, we've got a couple people that advised us that's too far gone. You know, so what we got to do is decide, you know, do we want to do the whole job, or is there hope? Really, I haven't talked to anybody that says, oh yeah, we could fix that by sealing it for a while. So, and then devise some specs for the job, put the specs up for bid and go.
Great. Well, it's August,
Yeah,
it's getting close.
yeah.
And these guys are also, you know.
Well,
Busy.
if we hurry, do the wrong thing,
No, I
Correct.
actually...
I agree.
that's
Yeah.
second to what we go do is right.
So whatever, direction you want me to go,
Talk to that gentleman this week or next week. Try and let us know when he's going to be there, if we can tag along. and listen to
No,
what he has
before
to
we bring anybody up, let's have a clear vision of what we want to do. Do we want to extend that parking lot? Do we understand that you have to have sedimentary control in those areas? We got to protect our drains. The second thing, about how that,
How far are we extending? We haven't decided anything. I mean, how many feet
well,
back
that
are
would
we
be, and if
going?
we was to grind that off, we have to waste that somewhere, if you,
I'm just saying, if we extended, none of us on the board have decided how far it gets extended. How many more parking lot spaces are we adding? We need to get together and come up with...
two contractors, to answer your question, Lawrence, two contractors, there was actually a spec from where that concrete out and parking cars, and
Uh-huh.
he spec'd it, and it was actually.
Right, there's a certain amount of...
Yeah, so it's an
Space
additional
allotted for
10
parking.
foot.
What we should have there is 60 to 75 feet. We don't have that.
look at that.
60
And I've done some of this, but I'm no expert, and I don't think there's anybody close up to being an expert on this. I think what we need to do is to get more information before we move forward as far as looking at a bid, accepting a bid,
Correct.
and making a decision.
Right.
So, that would include how much was the grinding, then it would say how far you'd extend it. I mean, I'm no road person, but I happened to build one time, so, okay? Well, I think that's what we need to do.
Just, do you have any recommendation on what companies you want me to meet with?
We have to put together a set of specs first.
Okay.
So, why don't we spend a little bit of time on that, and I'll try and spend some time with you.
Then if the project's too costly, what you're saying, Laura, if the cost is, then we won't do that. We'll seal it and put it in the hands of God. It'll last another year.
No, I'm not saying if it's too... I'm just saying there's a threshold where we have to understand what goes out for public bid and what we can not, do an actual bid opening in the whole process for. It's 50,000, I think, but...
I think it'll be over that.
Well, yeah. So-
And then we could do that once we...
Well, it depends on what we do, I mean, if we can't fix it, I think then we've got to put together a plan for how far we're extending it, what we require, and go from there.
Okay, so can I get from the board that we'll table this matter, we'll look for some more expertise, we'll put a spec sheet. Kurt, could you take the point on that?
Yeah, I'll do a little work with Matt.
You could share that with us as the process goes on?
Yeah.
And I think that as we have people come out, if we can communicate it for informational purposes, we meet and can talk to the guy, that'd be great.
Well, the gentleman that you want, the guy that was here, the one guy.
No,
Well,
I don't have any
thought-
preference.
and you asked me in the
Yeah,
past.
we had talked about some rejuvenator, I thought he might be able
Right,
to
no,
do good.
what I was going to say about letting everybody know, the gentleman that did the town hall here, he gave me a 10 minutes heads up,
Did he?
I'm coming,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
you
yeah,
wanted to come out and meet with him too, and that's
Yeah.
why I didn't, but he gave me a 10 minutes.
If possible, shoot us all an email, because
Yeah.
I think this is a big enough project where we probably all need to kind of be involved in every step
Oh,
of the way.
absolutely.
And with the weather going the way it is this year, I mean, it may be a spring project. We don't have to hurry up with being crazy. We want to get it done right. So.
Okay. And the only last thing I have is, the tree, I didn't add, the wood that we took down from the cemetery, that he wanted $100 a tree to haul it away. We hauled it to the back of the cemetery. He's putting a roundup if anybody wants to have some firewood at their own, come and pick it up at their own risk. They're more than welcome. So we actually saved an extra $200 on that tree trimming bill by doing that.
Okay, Matt? We may include you in further discussion as we go down on the part-time temporary help.
Okay.
But, thank you for your report.
I did have a question I read down there. Just as far as the stencils we had once talked about, I know you touched on the signs you put up outside the fire station. We had talked about stenciling across no parking. I don't know if there's any update or if you had any other information there.
Well, some of the folks that we're going to pay, they were also putting in those bids to paint,
Do the stenciling.
do the parking spots and the handicap, and so they would do, I told
And they
them
would
that
do
they
that
would need
too.
to put no parking in front on the
Okay.
concrete,
Okay.
so.
All right, because we talked about a few
Right.
different things there.
And I
Okay.
did find a stencil that we could borrow.
Yeah.
When I talked to Bob, we were gonna do it on a Monday night with some help from the firemen. So, if this project doesn't happen and we need to do that,
Then
we can
you
still,
can do that.
I'll round up the stencil, and all we have involved in it is paint.
Right.
Have those quotes, and we'll give those back to Karen, and then she can keep them. Keep them on
These aren't
records.
specific to the bid spec that we have, so it's just ideas.
Well,
of
she's
gonna-
the keeper of our records, I think, though.
I know, but I'm thinking that if we make copies and we take a look at, what they propose on how to fix it, we kind of helps us understand.
There was only two, one and one.
Yeah, it's good to look at proposals and how they explain to fix different sections and stuff. I don't think we're up against a opening, in a bid opening or anything like that. So.
I just want the contractor to feel that they're being treated as fairly as anything, and they can speculate anything.
Well, once
let anything
we
go.
spec the job, we'll send it out to everybody once again.
When we get the specs, I think that's a good way to share it. and look at it.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going on to the zoning report. Rick sent a report. Rick is not here. July, August 2013, he had 18 calls returned to citizens and public and entities. 4 possible zoning permit applications currently being sought. That's a construction. Recently asked by the zoning commission to copy all minutes since 1969, working on. Zoning commission chairman was asked for further review of all zone change applications since 1969. And several phone calls regarding attending a citizens meeting regarding changes to Ellsworth zoning ordinance. Nothing else official in writing regarding the citizens meeting. That's what that's about.
Can I have a copy of that, Karen? Yes. I don't know. Thank you.
I paid the bill for all the copies.
Okay.
All the minutes since 1969, those are done.
Okay.
And the check was in the bills were signed. So that's finished.
Okay. We have Larry wanted something to say during the zoning report?
Yes, sir. After last month's meeting, and it's ironic that Rick isn't here again tonight, it was kind of inferred that Rick does a lot of stuff on his own time, and that kind of gives him an excuse or gives him pardon for not being here at some of the meetings in the past, or he has to leave early. So, given that a thought, I requested an open record request to Laura Lewis, trustee, concerning the job description for the zoning inspector. And under numerous articles concerning his job description, just pertaining to this particular area, it says, in addition, the employee will give a report to the trustees at the Board of Trustees monthly meeting. This report will include permit issues, complaints filed, and any and all zoning updates for the month and other pertinent information. Responsibilities and duties. Underneath that, it also says, give report at monthly trustee meeting. So I really am concerned that, before Rick was here, Diane, I could count on one finger how many meetings she ever missed, let alone come late. And I do believe that since Rick Durkin has retained the position of zoning, I think he's been gone more than he's been here. And I think that you guys should take some steps to remedy this situation.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Board, we've asked And I've tried for the last 2 years to do evaluations about employees that include our maintenance, could include our zoning, could include our fire chief. It hasn't gotten off the ground, not for the lack of me trying and bringing those things forward for us to look at models. I feel the reluctancy was because of personal issues, and this sounds somewhat of a citizen saying it, his personal view, the person not doing a job because he didn't attend the meeting. We haven't done that. We can start to do that. That forms foundation on the decisions you can make about personnel. We would bring somebody here in a meeting that he has been to their house and road permit on a Saturday morning. You can bring a person here that goes beyond that job description, wasn't making any excuses, telling you the facts. We have something that goes beyond opinions if we start doing some things like that. Board, any discussion on that? We'll entertain that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think it's, when we sat down, and it's part of our risk management, part of our township policies that we have to write. We have to write driving policies. We did a lot of that over the years. And, it's written into his policy that we wanted the zoning inspector to show up and give his report so that we can then ask questions if there's questions that need to be asked. A very easy forum for him to be right here if we have any issues to cover. And then he can, obviously he's relieved and can go after the report's given. So, personally, I don't think it's asking too much to make most of the meetings. I think we're pretty lenient on any kind of health things or anything going on. But, maybe we need to just ask him, Rick, I think you need to make most of our meetings, and because he's probably been...
I'm the chair, I could do that, but again, I think there's a subjective part of that. If we do the things we said we could do as far as evaluations, if we decide that they're biannual, we had maintenance people we could have done that with. We have a new maintenance person we could do that with, although he's only part-time. Those are the things that you put your feet on solid ground and do.
Okay. Artie, I agree with you 100%. Matter of fact, when we went through the evaluations, I remember giving you a copy of some evaluations that I had found. And I'm not, if you want me to head that up, I can head that up. But as chairman, you call and schedule meetings, and you kind of would lead us through that. So I think that's definitely something we can do. I'm all for employee evaluations and sitting down. Communication is essential.
I know, employee evaluations, it becomes public record. We're a small community. It seems like we're a tight-knit family. Sometimes we argue, but when you start evaluating people on a small level like this, I think it could hinder the relationship. Now if we got a problem with somebody, usually we can go and talk with them and get the thing resolved. As far as the formalities of making forms every 6 months on a worker, I don't see it in our small little domain here.
I don't believe that employee evaluations would be public record. I don't believe that would be a public record.
May I add one more thing? Rick assumed the duties of this job, and if he couldn't fulfill the duties of this job, he shouldn't have taken it. Zoning is probably the most important issue in this township since I've been here, since 1980. He could at least make himself available here at the meetings to ask, like Laura said, to answer questions that we might have.
Okay, Larry, you've had your say, and you're giving an opinion now of your own evaluation, and you're a citizen, you can do that. But I also can give an opinion to say that probably conflict resolution is the most important tool that you have in zoning, and that's where he's excellent. So we'll do that. That's our job. That's our task. If you're here to voice an opinion, you should leave the motive out of it, and we let you have your say.
There's no motive, Artie. It's the job.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Zoning Commission, for the public, the Zoning Commission has been working for years. Some have just recently come on board very hard on the zoning book as far as updates, as far as addressing very difficult issues. The trustees have allowed extra meetings, and we think it's money well spent. We've had workshops. We're getting close to coming where we need an expert beyond what we can do. Sandy, I got Sandy, Janine Goddard, Sandy Bates, and I got Wayne Cerner here tonight. So,
Yeah, I think I'm going to speak on this. We're at the point where you are when you build a house. You know, you're pretty good with the 2x4s, you're pretty good with the rough flooring, but when it comes to the dormers, we need help. We've done as much as we can on our own at this point, and we've screened 4 or 5 consultants, and we've come up with a name, Mr. Smirgan of Oxbow. He was very impressive when it came to our meeting. He talked about how he knew Ellsworth, and he did know Ellsworth. He knew how many people lived in Ellsworth. He knew what kind of a community we were, and more impressively, he knew what we were looking for. He knew that we needed help in work sessions, and that's one of the things that he's going to provide for us. He is going to be communicating with us without us having to spend money for him to come to our meetings. He's going to prepare our ordinance, and it's going to be in a digital fashion. It will be available on the website, on the Ellsworth website, and so it'll be a little bit different, a little bit more 21st century. And you also will be able to get a CD of it when he's complete, and he's going to take care of that for us. He's also going to give us a loose plan. Now, this is not a comprehensive plan, but in Ohio, you have to have a plan if you have a zoning ordinance. So he's going to prepare, not a full-blown, of course, that would take a lot of money to do that, but he's going to prepare a plan for us when he leaves, something that we can work on and work towards. He's going to work on internal consistency. He even told us some things in our book that, as pertains to the appeals, the Zoning Appeals Board, that isn't quite right now, that it really needs to be addressed. So here we've got this expert. He comes to us with good credentials. He's worked in small communities like ours, but he's worked at Beaver, he's worked with North Jackson, and he's also worked up towards Cleveland area. He also is going to be $100 an hour, and his total cost is going to be $12,000 to $15,000 when everything is said and done. That's with, you know, the CD and on the website is completed. We all in the commission are in favor of him being hired, but this is a big decision. So we're bringing this to you so that you can think about it and maybe consider this as kind of the last push to get this book completed. Okay? Did you have any questions for any of us?
I just got a comment. You know, back when we talked with you and Fred, and, you know, what do you need? What do you need? Mm-hmm. We need an expert to work with us. You've interviewed 4 or 5 people. We've attended a seminar that Oxbow presented to us. The Jackson Township, we had the commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals there, so they're a little bit familiar with them. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what we wanted you to do. And, you know, I've seen I saw one of the other presentations from the companies, and I tried to keep track of some of the prices, and this isn't bad. And then with the bonus on there that he's going to give us a little bit of a resolution and give you guys something to work with our comprehensive land use plan, I think we're all on track here. You know, with other comments from the trustees?
Laura, you have any?
He was the only one that I did not make it to. And I trust that, you know, he's very knowledgeable and good. And I'm sorry, I'm very, very disappointed that I did not get to make it to see him. But I do have questions. I want to know more about this proposed plan. That's not quite the whole comprehensive plan. What is it in fact? And I probably would want to talk to him, give him a call on the phone. What is his background? I mean, it says Engineering Inc., but is he a lawyer? Is he a... He is not, but one of the things that he does is he is a paid witness in zoning cases, so he's very familiar with conflicts in zoning. He is basically a zoning consultant. So he's just worked in zoning, his history has
Yeah,
been
he's
just
very,
zoning
how can I say
inspector,
this?
or- I mean, I can find this out by talking to him as well.
Yeah. Do you guys remember what his background? I mean, he's been in this for years and years, and I think I remember he started out in engineering, and he kind of went into this.
I think what he said, Sandy, because I was there, he said that he has accessibility and resources of legal advice that he can solicit. He can, when it gets to a question beyond, when it becomes a legal thing. I think he mentioned that. And it was he did put on a very good presentation. But one of the things that we got to remind here, board, is what we say about this, is that we should share in a vision, and a vision just isn't a vision statement, it's a vision of where this township needs to move in a direction. And I'm glad this proposal, and I know Wayne was there, and Janine was there, and Sandy was there that night, but this thing about a land use plan, he was the first one to right out come and say, you probably got to have that before you can start some of the things that you're doing. And is that what I heard that night? So you have to have a land use plan.
It doesn't have to be full-blown, though.
Full-blown,
It can be
right.
a very loose outline, and you can develop that as after the fact. You have to have a plan of some sort.
And right, in this proposal, it asks for the trustees for the input on a vision part. Did anybody read
Well,
that
and
part?
that's part of my question, because a lot of the other people that come in to form these land use plans, they're very demographically mixed. They put a committee together with farmers, with small businessmen, and people that you really, really have to make sure you address all those groups. So if he's going about this loose plan, how does he go about it? Does he include the trustees? I really want to bring those other people in, because only when that happens, I think, do we really. I mean, maybe it can be done. Maybe he takes that into account, but how? And I want to talk to him.
The comprehensive land use plan is a very serious thing because it's shaping the future of our township. It's dictating what this piece of land is going to be used for in the future. That's why it's so important to get a group, a wide, homogeneous group of the public involved in this. We're not adopting his land use plan, but he's leading us in the right direction. After reading through there, I can see what he wants.
Kind of give Jim Tripp the floor. He's one of our commission members also.
Yeah, one of the really good points he made in his proposal on page 3 of it, some of the things he would assume responsibility for, and I was impressed with this. He would assume a responsibility for ensuring defensibility of the regulations and compliance with both the state statutes and zoning case law. And I think that's a key part of his proposal, that he will, in his proposals, and he hopes the end product, or he will make the end product defensible and will comply with state statutes and zoning case law.
And it looks like there's some work for us to do, zoning commission members, there's some work for us to do here as far as not just reviewing this proposal, but think of what steps do we need to take to maybe expand this. It might be jaw-dropping to people to hear $12,000 to $15,000, but if this zoning commission hasn't done the work that they have done so far, we might be looking at $20,000, $30,000. In some townships that's nothing to them. Sandy?
I just wanted to say that Lake Milton has just gotten done with theirs, and they had a zoning consultant the whole way along. And it cost them quite a bit for that, to have it from day one. And we have really probably struggled along and done a lot on our own, contacted prosecuting attorneys, did our own typing just to save the township money. But we're at the point where we really need help now at this point. So.
As far as the cost, the one proposal that I remember hearing was twice that.
Yes.
And he wanted more money if he were to incorporate some of your works into what he had. So that told us he was giving us a stamp book for twice of what this cost is.
More than twice. There's
And
a few that are...
Smerigan has already reviewed everything that we've done too. You can tell by the letter that he's reviewed it all, and thinks that he can work with what we've got already and kind of pull it together, and that's what we really need. So.
Okay, Wayne?
Ernie, this one consultant that really, he did a lot and hasn't charged us. I mean, he's looked at everything we have, our current zoning book, our drafts, and then he came up with this letter. I mean, he put a lot of time into this to get this letter and tell us what he can do for us. And the other consultants didn't do that. They were really hedging towards starting from the gate.
Could we, and I'm listening for Wayne, and that's real impressive, to hear Sandy was saying that he did his research and know what we were about, to look at what. So, I think what we need to do here is I think we need to say amongst this board in this next month is that we need to say what can possibly we want in addition to this about the land use plan, about how his model works, how he can do that. And then, maybe he can have that prepared for us next month, and we can make a move, because he really, he outshined the other ones I saw. He really struck a chord. Jim, you have one more comment?
Yeah, one final thing on cost. I mean, the zoning commission is very concerned with cost too. And we looked at that, figuring, now we use a figure of, say there's 2,500 residents in Ellsworth Township, that's kind of a ballpark. If he is true to his estimates, this would cost Ellsworth Township residents and taxpayers anywhere from $4.80 to $6 per resident. Sounds like a bargain.
Hey, it's nice to give something back to the people. It's not our money, it's their money. So we really need this, and the book should ever be evolving. We just don't redo a book and it sits there. We need to constantly be evolving. And this board probably has some good chemistry, and I've never seen a board work harder than that. And I like to go give evaluations on you guys. So there's one. Can we use that month board to ask for those additional things about this, the land use, if we would need more in that area? And now that we discussed money, I don't think that we shouldn't, that we should seek out anybody else.
Yeah.
Board, are you comfortable with that?
I think
Laura,
we've had a lot of...
Maybe one question you could ask, if we go with his proposal, and he's leading up to the land use plan, what would the land use plan cost him, or cost us, if he continues to work with us on it? Just a rough estimate. I'm sure he can't put an exact number on it, but we had some ideas what the comprehensive land use plan was for other companies.
But it depends on how much we're going to do. If he puts the outline
Well,
there,
I think that we have to be involved in this, because it's our comprehensive land use plan.
Well, I think every meeting that he would be at, it would be absolutely an open meeting, and our community is invited, Certainly, he would take into consideration what the community would say. That would be a very important thing for him.
And especially those people in the impacted areas that we make some decisions about, that land use plan. Those people are the key people in that process. Karen, you had one?
I have a question for the trustee. Well, for the zoning first. How soon would you be starting this? Is like September, October?
I would think in October, because, would you think September?
No, I don't think
I think October would probably be when we would start.
Okay.
Because right now, we're currently still trying to get the book together, get it in print of what we've done, so that way he can see everything we've done in a booklet form.
And if this board is coming back to you in September, you would not be able to do anything then. It would be minimal, would be October. So here's what I'm telling you is going to happen, because we didn't provide for anything like this in zoning. We're going to have to adjust our appropriations. So I'm just telling you ahead of time.
Okay.
if you decide to do this, you're going to have to adjust the appropriations, so.
So it'll be 2 months anyway, right, Karen?
Yes, so that it shows in your appropriations budget.
Right, I understand.
That you have an additional $12,000 to $15,000. And after you talk with him, if you find that it's going to be more than that, you're going to have 3 months of the year. Okay, so you maybe take $4,000 to $5,000 to put in for the appropriations this year.
Okay, we can wrap this up, and also, Karen, and part of that, I don't know how he wants paid. We'll have to find that out,
Exactly.
Maybe it's a little bit along the way, he has a billing period that he does with us, and so.
But I need to know that. Okay.
That's one question we'll find out. Anything, Jim, Wayne, Janine, Sandy? Thank you, and I think we can put this on for next month, and hopefully we'll have all those questions answered by then.
Thanks.
Nice presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Good work, Commission. You guys work hard. Public, they have meetings, and anybody go there, you can see how hard they've been working. So, fire report.
Since our last meeting, we had 1 vehicle fire, 1 brush fire, 1 tree removal, 1 good intent, 2 false alarms. We had 8 medical calls, 5 of them were transports, so 3 were non-transports, 3 motor vehicle crashes. So our monthly hours, and we received mutual aid from Berlin Center. We've given mutual aid to Berlin Center and North Jackson. Let's see, so our total monthly hours with cleaning, maintenance runs, drills, actually it should be more than this because we've been working on dry hydrants. We had 101, but...
101.
Yes. All right, my first item on the list is the communication with Matt that Matt and I have had. I got to say, I appreciate, Matt's input. I appreciate, Matt and I have developed a good working relationship. I just wanted to put that out there that I appreciate working with Matt. We're constantly communicating, and since I coached this summer, I was at the fire station constantly, and we talked, almost on an almost daily basis, and things that he'd done, and he runs his ideas by me, I run ideas by him, and I appreciate his input and the work he's done. So thanks, Matt.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Second thing is Matt and I have been talking about the dredging of the pond. The cattails it took us, we had to fix that dry hydrant back there at the station. It took us like 7 hours to get that. So we were successful. We got it done, but we really like to get that bank dredged out and get those cattails out of there if possible.
Okay. Bob, I talked with Grace, not recently, but he says we can treat that with chemicals, and since we don't use that pond for anything else, that would save a lot of money than mechanically dredging it. That would clear things up. Would that take care of your problems with the...
Well, it's not going to take care of all the silt in the bank. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if we could, because the thing is, the big thing is if we clean out around that hydrant on both sides of the bank. Get the silt and the cattails. Because what happens is in the strainer of our bottom of our dry hydrant has probably about ½ inch holes in it for the water to seep through. A lot of times that silt gets down in those and comes up through the pumps of the trucks. So,
how much reach do we need to reach out there and clean around it?
you're probably looking at, I would say probably 5 feet from the bank to the edge of the cattails.
That was one of my 10 projects also, so we got 2 of them here tonight. But one thing, Kurt, if we match that culvert that's on the other side of that hill and we wasted the dirt right there, it makes it much simpler. And the pond is, the sediments and the fines are all around it. If somebody would step in there, they would probably get quicksand, it's that messy.
So,
I think we need to do evaluation, but we do need to clean where that water's drafted. You've heard me talk about it for a couple of years.
Right. So something that, just to think about, a project to think about. And we were talking about, there is in the manhole cover back there, just a future project, like to be able to put a submersible pump in that manhole, because there's an existing pipe and wiring that already runs to the station that we could put drops from the pump or from the manhole to, like, when we come back, like the other night, we come back at 2:30 in the morning from a call, truck was down 250 gallons, which is, 1,000 gallons, it's a quarter tank, not much. So, it was raining hard, go back, we could go back to the dry hydrant or fill, or if we put something like that, drop state, like an old section of fire hose and put a quarter turn valve on the edge of the wall, just pull in that one bay and drop the hose in the fill, and then, fill that up while we're doing our maintenance on the trucks. Something to think about.
I would like it if the three of us got together
Sure.
on a weekend and we could take a look at this.
We'd have to look at the fall from the station to the lake. But the thing of it is, the pipe's been in there since the 80s. The wiring's there.
Yeah.
It's all there. It was set up for that. All we have to do is just finish it.
Well, the wiring goes into the utility room that's in the maintenance garage. It stops there.
Okay.
But there is another pipe that goes into the fire station, and I found some old papers, that handwritten diagrams Bill wrote. Maybe we can get him involved.
Yeah.
There's a conduit there that we'd have to feed wire in and make a shut-off. I mean, it's feasible.
Let's pick a day and I'll get a hold of Bill Schischler and we'll all get together.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. I'm back to work. I started back to school today, so we'll...
Bye-bye, Bob.
Yeah. So anyways, I need to get, we put in a new hydrant across from Ward Campbell's up on Palmyra Road. We got another one at Brian O'Neill's house on Galt up by Gibson, because we have no hydrants up that way. So, and this new one that we put in is Mr. Tancer on Palmyra. Because we spoke before about the ISO requirements for the hydrant depths. His exceeds the hydrant depths for that, so it'll be certified hydrant. So I need to get 2 more hydrant strainers from. I priced them different places. Teddy Smith has the best prices. He can get them through his company, so you can get that. I also purchased some PVC fittings from C&B wholesalers in North Jackson, because we had the hydrants that we had to repair, to lower, to be certified for ISO was the fire stations. That one's done. The one at Galt and Old 224, that one's done. We have Baird Brothers to do, and then Karen's to do, to lower. And those 4 then, plus the new one, Tancer's, will be certifiable hydrants for our ISO rating.
Okay, do we still have to rate those as far as flow? Do we still have to flow rate them?
Well, the only one, yeah, all but the fire stations. Because what we did is, I told you before, we 10 or 15 years ago when those hydrants were put in, we put them in with 4.5-inch heads on them, because that was kind of the standard. Well, after doing the testing, after going through this ISO rating, what we did is we discovered that 6-inch gives us 200 gallons a minute more flow. So we changed those heads from 4.5, those old heads, to 6-inch. So each of those will have to be retested, because we replaced the heads on those ones. So anyway, so I bought some PVC fittings.
Did you put them on our account there?
We didn't have an account at C&B in North Jackson.
Karen said one.
Oh, he said we didn't. Oh, okay, I don't know.
Okay.
That's why I paid for it.
I'll check on that.
Okay, so you pay from out of your pocket and
Yes.
we'll reimburse you, okay?
Right.
I have that on the list.
Okay.
And then we had a search and rescue, 7.5 hour search and rescue, Palmyra Road, Herbert Road area, Galt Road, that area. And we had Mahoning, we were with the Mahoning County Sheriff's Office. We had Deerfield, Berlin Center, North Jackson, Canfield, and us, of course. And anyways, so staff medevac was there. But what we did is, since we were out, for a lengthy period of time, I called the fire corps in for some water and some granola bars and some, items for lunch. So Karen and John paid for those items out of their own pocket. So, so I'd like to get them, folks reimbursed for their, because they stayed with us the entire day and made sure everybody was hydrated and fed, and so. And then did the hose testing this week, and I just got a couple pieces that were blown during testing. All I want to do is take those off the rack and just replace them with a few that were the ones that would just replace the ones that got blown. I lost, and these are the older hoses that we bought. What the thing is, like, that we can't, yeah. So I need to replace a 100-foot section of 4-inch, 250-foot sections, and 6-inch and 3/4 attack hose. So the attack hose gets beat up pretty bad in house fires. So anyway, and then Tom Powell got a price on block and tackle. We remove a lot of trees in this community from the roadway. And we thought, there's been times we've called, Tim out to bring his excavator or, tractors and things like that. We have a winch on the truck. But, we were talking, block and tackle would really help us out when we go to remove those trees. So Tom found one, a good size one for $125. So, anyways, so that's it for me.
No, the computer program.
Oh, yeah. I just got this tonight before the meeting. It's our annual, it's what we do, they do it every year. It's for the fire program. It's a support, it's $510. It's a program for our fire reports to the state. So what it does, it just gives us updates on it's a software update, and they do it every year, and it's that time of year, I guess.
How much is it?
$510.
That's something we needed?
Something, yeah, unfortunately.
It's required.
Yeah, it's required. That's a requirement.
How are we doing with our fire budget?
That's why, I asked.
I'm getting it to Bob on the computer and the reports, and I'm not getting along.
Okay, so we have
At the next meeting, could you give us a report on that, Sharon?
Okay, we have a total of $3,888.83. The only thing I'll say in the discussion about this, it's good that people will help and stuff, but there's a lot of people in this room that help with their own money. And I'm going to say yes to John Bates and Karen for helping out, but that's the people's money. It's not. That's whose money it is to help out and do nice things. So, well, with that, we'll approve it.
I'll second it.
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman, yes.
Well, I guess going back to that, I mean, I called them for, emergency situation, and, part of the NIMS requirements is to have a logistics officer and a
You don't have to get it. I'll buy the next box with granola bars. You call me. I just would say at the time, I'll do it. I don't have the right to use people's money for that. That's all. It doesn't sound cold. It doesn't sound mean. It doesn't. And our meeting needs to flow, and we need to go.
Can you get me the address for those? I can get Brian's hydrant, but the man on...
I have it at the station.
If you text it to me or something, I'll go up there this weekend.
Thanks, Chief. You got an EMS?
5 transports. 5 transports for the month, and nothing new.
Okay.
I'm going to bring something up on the EMS. You know, we have an ongoing problem with the EMS billings. You know, we've got to get those charts made out. You know, we're a little bit delinquent again. Is there anything that you
well,
might suggest?
And here's the thing that everybody's got to understand. I mean, they do get delinquent. They got delinquent when Ken was there too. So, I'm just gonna say that you gotta. I don't know if you understand the full realm of what takes place when a person does this. What you have to do is you have to, first of all, before you just don't you don't get the money and send the bill in. You can't do that because you're going to get sued. So what happens is you have to understand that when we get a bill in or we bill out an ambulance trip, first of all, we got to make sure that the chart is done. Second of all, we got to make sure that the chart is done correctly and completely. All the T's got to be crossed, all the I's got to be dotted. We got to make sure that we're good with our hospital administrator, that we got to call her up at St. Joe's and say, is this chart okay? Did we, is everything good? Did this medic or this EMT do what they needed to do? Blah, blah, blah. And then we got to send that request for billing. So there's a lot of running around to do before it gets done.
Let's try to help Chief here. And it's good to hear the public hears what's all involved. This thing is funded on those dollars that come in to it. It's got to, and then it's got to work. And I think it can. We wouldn't have said yes if it wouldn't. I never said no. I wouldn't say yes to it work. So we got to believe in it. If we need some addition, we have to spend money to recap, to coop that money and get that money. And we're going to have to look for those resources to do this with what you're getting to.
Some of the other townships, they have somebody that comes in and helps them fill out charts.
Right.
In the EMS fund, we have money there. The firemen and the EMS, they've got a job to do, and when they come back, they're tired. So if we could help you somehow, if we can get somebody in there that does the secretarial stuff, it'd make your job easier, and it'd make ours easier too.
And don't misunderstand me. Ken did a fantastic job as EMS coordinator. He did a wonderful job. He's the one that built this thing, from the ground up. And without him, we wouldn't have the ambulance and save our taxpayers tons of money a year on transports. So, but he is familiar with the billing. But again, he was doing a job as an assistant chief. So I guess there's a suggestion that, if he's willing to, if we can do this somehow, that, he could just concentrate on the billing.
But, he wouldn't be doing EMS calls.
No.
We'd like to compensate him by the hour for filling this stuff out. And that would make your job easier. We wouldn't get the calls.
We don't lose the potential of the money. Laura, you have any comments?
Well, yeah, the whole thing needs to be self-funded, and as long as that we have to get the information to the billing company so we can be self-funded. So if we need to have Ken come on board and put into the EMS budget 3, 4, 5 hours a week, whatever it takes.
Okay, how many hours a week do you think we'd need a secretary to do that?
I would say probably, I'm going to say 2 to 3 hours a week.
Okay, we have in one of the surrounding communities, they hired a secretary. They pay her a little bit better, $9 an hour, and she takes some of the burden off of the firemen.
She also does the chief's paperwork, not just the EMS, because I talked to Dolly Bennett, and that individual does EMS and fire department. So that would mean she would check their certification dates for you, do your monthly and quarterly reports, all of that. Lift your burden too.
But what I was looking at, our EMS fund has a decent amount of money in it. Do you need help with some of your things too, Bob?
Wow.
Is it not?
That's why I'm not coaching football, let's put it that way. So,
Let's not put our feet on a slippery slope. Let's address what we need, not what we want. Let's do it that way.
For tonight, let's address the EMS.
Okay.
And how many hours a week do you think to start out with?
Whatever it takes, they may be backlogged, it might be...
Yeah, he's a little back now, but what about, do we know that Ken wants to step up into this? Would he, or do we need
He
to
would
possibly?
assist with the billing only,
Okay.
Okay.
for right now, you know what I'm saying?
Why don't we get this moving, because rather than be more delinquent and make it harder for the pieces to come up, I'd like to
We
make a
get-
proposal tonight.
Beyond 90 days, we can't collect, so we need to.
Do you think Ken would be interested in it?
Possibly, I have
Okay.
to talk to him for sure, but he and I talked, and, you know... it was-
And we can't do it till next month. Let's talk to Brian, let Brian off,
Right.
you gotta do that part of it.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Out of respect
And then you
for
get
Brian.
Ken on, and then you bring it, and I think trustee Morrison will head up what things, compensation, what we need, and
Okay,
we'll...
but we got some that are 3 months
Yeah,
now.
I think we need to
Can we
start.
put some pressure on somebody and get some months done?
Well, but how's the, if we're going to make the offer to pay him, how does that work?
Well, you guys work out the details and let me know. I'll talk to Brian, we can do it next week.
We can't spend any money without a vote. Are we ready for a
Right.
vote tonight?
We would have to put in motion if,
We could put a motion in place for you to look for somebody
Right.
with a cap of 5 hours a week
and
at
$10
a
an
pay
hour
of
or something.
$9.50 an hour.
Okay. Then I'll make a suggestion.
Please.
Why don't I talk to Brian, why don't I work out, make sure, and then next month, we can work out the logistics of the
But
paperwork.
we got a lot of paperwork that's not done now.
Well, he can't do it until he gets the pieces together. He'd love to say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, chief, but till you get them pieces together...
That's my point.
Yeah. And we want to pull the trigger now. Boy, that's usually it's the other way around, chief. We procrastinate on you.
Well, we could make it tentative. It doesn't.
We don't have to name a name.
We
We
don't have
could
to
say
name
starting
a name.
September
We
1st.
say, here's, you know, and if it's not available, then we go to.
And quite frankly, you
Berlin,
know,
if they wanna-
the whole billing thing, I'll take full responsibility of that because, hopefully you know that this ISO thing has been
Yeah.
#1 prime thing to get done. So I've been pulling away people for, you know, to get stuff tested and done and paperwork. So, you know, we got 2 more hydrants to fix. and we're
I'd
done.
like to pull the trigger on this
Yeah,
quick.
I
I'd
agree.
like them to start next week.
I
If we throw something up, like what I talked about,
Okay,
could you administer it from there?
absolutely.
And if it doesn't work-
someone digs in their heels and says, no, I don't like it, then it stands and we deal with it again
Okay,
maybe next
perfect.
month and
Okay.
what?
I'd like to make a
Thoughts, Mary?
proposal.
Need a motion?
I make a motion for an EMS secretary
Okay.
for up to
950?
Right,
How
5
many-
What did you
hours.
say?
5 hours a week, up to 5 hours a week at $9.50 an hour.
Perfect.
For secretarial work only on EMS.
Right.
Up to
To
Bob.
start on a date, and that would make it right to get him time to do it. Let's give a date to start.
Start date.
What's Mondays?
It helps Karen, too.
14, 15.
Let's do our start date next Wednesday, because, depends on when, I don't know what shift, if it's Ken, I don't know what shift he's gonna work. He works at the clinic.
Oh, but he doesn't
So-
have to,
You're gonna work on it.
But he knows
can
the
start.
system, he can come in at
Sure.
Anytime,
his
it's just
5 hours.
active
We can
as
do our
of
start
Monday.
date next Wednesday.
Okay, there we go.
So that's the 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that,
Trustee Lewis?
yes.
Trustee Morrison?
Yes,
Trustee Spellman, yes.
to be coming out of the EMS fund.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up, right, that we had the unfinished business EMS billing, so that was number 10, we'll cross that out. That was good, though, yeah, we needed to do that. Karen prepared it very well, she prepared the billing from Quest that we have, that we have coming through the system, so, I don't know, trustees all got a copy of that. Let's go to committee reports real quick here.
Are you starting on this end of the?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my paper together here.
Okay.
Going through
I'll go
that.
first then. Yeah, as Matt mentioned, I purchased a computer, installed the Office and WebRoot, which was the antivirus. I did only get the 6 months free. I know we approved up to another year, but there is Avast, which is a free software for antivirus. If you don't go to sites where we shouldn't be, it should be sufficient. But, we could try that. I kind of threw that out to the Matt. Or at the end of the 6 months, Weber's going to pop back up and ask if you want to resubmit, and it's already approved for a year, so go that route if you want. I know that Avast, different people have it, and it's worked really well for them, so it's a free option. We might want to try it. Did you still need the email account, or did you want to?
Well, we should all be
Set your-
using,
Yeah, that brings up another issue. Okay. Okay. So Emily Hively contacted me about some grant monies for sewer tap-in, and I contacted Anna and just was asking her how that last CHIP grant finished out. She said there wasn't any money in it, but she was contacting Emily to apply for the one in the fall. So we'll hope that there's some money there. I was contacted also, there was a tree down on South Fairley Road, got the county involved, and Gary, I sent a picture down, and Gary Setz went out and measured it. It's like 5 feet out of the right of way, so they weren't able to do anything. He said, basically if it's on the line, they can take it down, but if it's anywhere past that right of way line, they can't do anything. So updated the website, and I put Rick's email that you sent through, Kurt, so that's up to date. There was, I called about the marquee sign in front of the church down here, the Methodist church, because I thought it was like a cute sign, and we've been maybe talking about one for out here. They have like a clear face that locks the letters in. The letters are different size from our sign up there. They're 4 by 6 inch, so we'd have to buy a set of letters, but the whole shebang comes to like $3,500. Just throwing that out there. Kind of a nice option if, it's nice to display when the commissioners are coming to our meetings, what we have going on, zoning, land use consultants or something coming in, when the trustees meetings are. I know that the one at the fire station is busy and should be, kind of dedicated to the fire department, a lot of things going on up there. So something to kind of tuck under your belts that there's maybe an option out there. Also, I pulled applications for a Visa card through Farmers Bank, just to kind of address when we go to make purchases. If we don't have an account somewhere, Matt needs something, he could, possibly have like a township credit card that sits with the fiscal officer that we can use to do some of these purchases. Bob had to buy a printer, and he kind of called me and said, hey, we've been just using our personal credit cards and that, which is fine, but it may make sense, and I wanted to open that up for discussion, to go with like a township card. You can go with, each trustee and fiscal officer and zoning inspector, everybody having their own card with capped limits, or just start out with one card that people can stop by and put those purchases on. It makes it a little less cumbersome, and it's up to you.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would go to proceed that would be the credit card use policy. I think we were given maybe one of those by the prosecutor's office at one time that the county did it.
Oh, yeah?
I think we need to really have that. So it's hanging. People do something, dumb thing, but it hangs over their head and being prudent. So I think that needs to happen before we send out a credit card. The application would be good, but we can put a use policy in place. I think that's what needs.
I think there's one in the computer.
If you can find one, why don't you?
We just talked about the county having a credit card policy. You thinking back over the last 10 years, reading the paper, the county officials have got in trouble with a credit card. Do we really need to open this up at this time? Artie, I don't see a need for it. Matt, most of the places will extend us credit if we don't have a credit established with them anyway as a public entity. Have you ran into many things where you needed a credit card for?
We've opened up accounts. Karen's been good about that. We've opened a couple of new accounts out.
Let's check into the policy, and maybe that'll lead to the answer of how complicated that would be and what checks they have in there suggested by the prosecutor. Karen said she had it on file. Why don't we table that?
I'll email it to you.
Yeah, why don't we review that before we make,
Yeah.
make
I guess that's why I'm kind of leaning away from, issuing individual credit cards that you actually carry with you. This would be sort of like a centrally located credit card. If Karen doesn't get it back in the next day or something, she could be like, excuse me, where's the card? And, you know, if you're approved to go purchase something, it's done with a motion in the meeting. It's just a matter of keeping it cleaner so that, you know, the bill comes, it gets paid.
Yeah, we make a motion, you know, we can get checks too, you know.
The problem with the check is, you know, you go into a check with 4 signatures on it,
And getting everybody's
with
sign.
one person, with their photo ID, where's the other 3 people? See, that's the problem you encounter with the check, you have a photo ID. Now I go to buy something, and the rest of you guys are somewhere else, they aren't going to take the check.
That's maybe not a bad thing to think about. I just wanted to bring it up. Let's look at the use policy, and Karen can send that. That'd be great. That's all I had.
Trustee Morrison, thank you, Laura. That is good too for the thought. Go ahead.
Top-notch tree service cut down the trees and just recently took down the stumps, you know, so we're ready to pay them as soon as we get their bill. And I got something that'll go with later. But I want to talk a little bit about our Roundup article. You know, as trustees, we agreed to share the responsibility of putting an article in the Roundup. The normal procedure is that it is written and shared with the other trustees, and they have time to edit, contribute to the article, which I did, and the other trustees had time to respond. You know, with the last article, there were some things left out of it. And Trustee Lewis's response to me, I sent it out on a Friday, we had till Sunday to get it in. I'm trying to keep the Roundup current, you know, so it's not a couple months old. And after I sent the article to the trustees, Trustee Lewis's response was add the date and time for the meetings and our website information and the link for Western Reserve News for viewing meetings. After the current issue of the Roundup was released by Allison Huff, I noticed the line that said there was a counterclaim suit in excess of $25,000 from Batista Holdings Lewis against the township. Attorneys were present to advise on the matter. That line was missing. I emailed Allison Huff and asked her, can you please tell me who edited the article that was sent in for the August edition of the Roundup? It was missing some important information that was township business. Allison Huff responded by email, I did. I was advised to leave out the bit about the litigation. I then emailed her back and I asked her who advised her, and she responded that Laura Lewis advised me of the agreement with Perso and forwarded me a copy of it. It seems that Laura Lewis has taken it upon herself to edit out the business portion of our meetings, which were recorded in our minutes and for her personal interest. The Roundup article was sent to all trustees for approval before being submitted to Allison Huff. Trustee Lewis went behind our backs and told Allison Huff to delete the line referring to the lawsuit that Batista Holdings, her and her husband, have against the township. Allison Huff sent me a copy of the Perso letter, as I had never seen it. Perso is the Public Entities Risk Services of Ohio. The letter was dated April 29th. I've never seen it before. Perso was hired to protect the township against the lawsuit. How did Trustee Lewis get a copy of the Perso letter dated April 29th when I never received one? Trustee Lewis is always preaching open government and transparency. How can someone preach that at each meeting and turn around and do what she did without us wondering what else has she done? This was just another political ploy on her part to keep the township residents in the dark about what she is doing to our township.
Mr. Morrison, a copy of this letter, when received, was put in each one of your mailboxes.
I never received it. Did you receive it?
No.
Well, it was in your mailbox.
I never received it.
Well, somebody.
Well, then here you go.
I got a copy now from
Because
Allison Huff.
I copied them, it came April 29th, It's dated April 29th. When it came, it was copied and put into your mailbox.
No, there was none in my mailbox.
Well,
It was
are
in
you
my...
telling me a liar?
No, wait a minute. I'm telling you there's nothing in my mailbox. You said that. I didn't say that.
I
Look,
put it in your mailbox.
let's address this mail thing just a little bit.
Sure.
If it's something that important, you would think that we put that in an envelope and you would put that in my mailbox. Second of all, we've had contact with PERSA. There's a second instance where the writ of mandamus was filed. That happened in August 23rd.
And we got the same letter during that.
Wait a minute. August 23rd.
Did you get it from that?
I got it
lawsuit?
September 8th. September 8th
You
is
got
when
the
I got it.
PERSA letter?
From September 8th, yes, I did back then.
Okay, so then...
When I contacted Mr. Matthews, who was Mr. Matthews with 2 T's, when I was trying to find Mr. Matthews, it was 1 T. I found Mr. Matthews, and by the way, it's the same person that you two had contact and brought him to commission meetings without the knowledge, discussion, or any part of the town trustees.
Oh, my goodness.
And it leads you to believe that there is something wrong here, that when something that critical isn't getting to the other 2 trustees. PERSO is one protecting us, you, all of us.
And that's why they were called when the township was sued in the mandamus. That's why you pay liability insurance.
And that's why you
Not-
should share that information.
I
with me.
did share
And
the
you didn't this
information.
time.
I did share it
I was never
this time.
contacted at all.
I
It
picked
was
it up.
in your mailbox.
Yeah, that's right.
What happens in that garage? Don't ask me.
Okay, good.
But you seem to
Okay,
get everything
we need to
else.
devise a better system, it seems, for us getting mail. When you get an important piece of mail, I think the document should stay someplace housed, and we all have to initial it.
Okay, then where are you going to house it?
Could we have one of your drawers, Matt? You know, and the mail should probably be delivered there, and we could make copies and put our initial on it, so you'll know that we received it. Rather than arguing about what's happened in the past, we need to straighten things out in the future.
Yeah, and I do want to make a
Sure.
comment in addressing that, because it was not a factual statement. The truth is that Ellsworth Township, Kurt and Artie, my counterparts here, sued my husband's company. This is simply a counterclaim in that lawsuit. So, instead of arguing about it, going back and forth over email, which I really saved them from themselves, I sent them direct the letter, because the Roundup makes it very clear they do not print legal issues, they do not print political issues, they put that in that paper. So I went directly to her, I said, look, this is from our insurance company, this is how they want us to handle it. I'm not going to argue with the other 2. I know they want to use it politically against me, I know they try to twist it around
No, I
all the
think
time. Be quiet, I let you have your chance. So I sent that letter right directly to Allison. Look at anything coming through this election season, which is coming up, and I know there'll be many things said, so that she understands not to be put in the middle of that, and that this is actually what it is, and insurance company has put a letter out to all of the trustees stating that this is how it's going to be handled.
If we got them.
So I got it from my mailbox. I know that there's been a lot of things insinuated here tonight, but I got it from my mailbox. I have no pre-existing relationship with Jim Matthews. If he came to zoning commission meetings, he did so on his own.
Attorney Matthews, after being contacted by PERSO, called me and asked me when the meeting was and where it was going to be held and would I attend. And I did, because he was the head counsel.
But that information wasn't shared with us.
Like the other ones that were in our mailbox, that wasn't. So,
Okay,
we got to correct
Matt,
things more
tomorrow,
forward.
what time will you be in the, are you going to be...
No, listen, no.
Wait a minute, I'm talking to Matt. Are you going to be in your office tomorrow?
I'll be Berlin Center starting at 7.
Okay.
I can, want to suggest, we can take that cemetery down.
Matt, stop. This board will make the solution to the problems. This is what we're going to talk about. I've said it months after months, year after year. We're living like vagabonds here. We don't have an office. We have satchels. We carry this in. Karen got a drag thing in with wheels. I'm a big, strong guy, and I get tired of carrying some of this stuff. We need to do some things differently here. And for us to run efficiently and run properly, and it seems that there's some issues here. We need to have an office. We have one sitting up at that building that we need to utilize. It's going to take some money to fix it, but that's what we need to do. We can't keep living out of these satchels, and he put this, and things fall in mailboxes. Things aren't put in mailboxes, they are put in mail. No, we're not going to do it that way anymore. We need to come up with a solution. This board needs to come up with a solution. I don't know of a township that doesn't have an office.
Okay, Artie, we're trying to come up with a solution.
Well, we need an
put an
office.
office. Okay, so we put an office. Then what? Then you claim that you didn't get it, it was on your
Everything
desk, and
gets sent
somebody
to
else
that
put it off your
office.
desk? I mean,
Everything goes to that office, and then it gets initialed. If you want it and you initial it, you make a copy of it and you take it with you. The original stays there. The keeper of the files and the keeper of the records, who has that responsibility, will take care of it then. That's what should be done. I don't think there's
We
too
don't have an
much...
office right now, so maybe we
Well,
need a
let's
drawer.
step it up. We've been talking about it for years. Let's
Yeah.
step it up.
What about, there's,
This will take away a lot of this stuff, I think, doesn't it? Wouldn't you be really happy to do that?
I'd be happy to
In
do
the
Well,
interim,
let me
you
tell
know,
you, you cannot force me to move the office from my home. My fiscal officer stuff is staying where it is. I've organized it once. I'm not packing and moving again.
That pertains to the business that you do. But as far as the township mail and as far as business that we need to conduct, those things need to be there. It won't interfere with what
All
you're
right,
doing in
in
your
the
own.
interim between when you get an office ready and this moment, from here till the office is ready, what do you want me to do with the mail? Put it in an envelope and mail it to you?
Well, I've already talked this week about having a copier for that office. We need to do something better there too, but, you know,
Which office? You mean at the maintenance? Or,
we need to make an office, whether it's in the maintenance building, whether it's in the fire building.
okay?
That's what we've got to do. We'll get to the comments here real quick here.
She needs to be able to pick up.
Interim solution here?
She needs
I'll
to be able to
mail
pick
it.
up
Now
the
you can
bills,
speak.
okay? The other mail is, I mean, I don't know how I'm getting it out of my mailbox that's in the maintenance garage, and nobody else is, but that's,
I get everything from Matt. I get checks from the
I mean, our
cemetery,
mailbox in the maintenance
And I
garage
get-
seem to be working.
gas receipts and applications and everything from Matt. Amazingly, how $450 checks don't go feet and walk away.
That's prudent for us to do that? Do you think that's prudent for us to, you think Austintown does that? You think-
I have no idea, but Austintown has an awful lot.
Let's make it better.
You're not comparing apples to apples.
Well, let's take some of these
Okay,
risks
so
away.
until you come up with a solution, every Friday, whatever the mail is, I'll put it in an envelope and I'll mail it to your homes. How's that?
well, then, I would like to find a place close to the post office, a drawer. You can put the mail in there. If we want it, we'll initial it, and it's our fault if we don't see it. We could take it and make a copy and put the original mail back in the drawer until we develop something as a permanent office.
Go back to the maintenance department. We have a drawer in one of the desks, you have two desks, we both have all keys to
We
that
go in there
office.
a couple times a week sometimes and sign checks.
Yeah, so you pick up the mail. And you need to have a copy machine. And,
And if you could give us a drawer, you can key it and give us the keys, then there's no way that somebody steals the mail or gets in there other than us.
I can do that. I'll get 4 keys, and you each get 2.
Do you have a locking mail, filing box, file cabinet? Remember you said you had found extra ones? Do you still have them? Did you get rid of them?
No, they're there, but the lock system,
They
they
don't
don't work.
work.
What I've done is with the computer, and we have 3 personal lockers in there. I've actually put the computer in there, and I lock it, because I don't want it.
We can use a filing cabinet, we put a hasp and a lock on it.
That's what I do. Put a hasp on a lock in one of those desk drawers, and it'll be just for the trustees and fiscal officer. How's that?
That'd be good.
Okay.
And the policy will be, all the mail goes in that drawer, and then we can initial it, And then if we want a copy, we can make a copy. We
Where?
probably ought to get another copy machine and set in there. Do we have room for a copy machine? Just a cheap $150 one?
I can make 3 copies and put your names on them, and then you just sign out what you took.
That would be good, yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I'm take the mail home now,
Yeah.
make 3 copies, and it disappears. So what's the difference?
yeah, I don't think that's solving it, actually, Karen. I think we
I
gotta
don't
make your
either,
own
but
copy.
I guess that's what we're
Well,
doing.
let's laugh about it next, but let's
No,
just
no,
get
I'm just
serious
saying,
about what
if
we're
she's gonna
doing
take
here.
it home and make the 3 copies, it's the same as what we're doing now.
Can I make a suggestion?
No, Larry, we have other people with a lot of hands up, and they'll wait their turn patiently. You've got the floor more than everybody tonight.
It's a simple solution.
Okay. We get to do that. Anybody else with the drawer? We'll do the drawer. We'll
Well,
sign it on
we
the
need
desk.
a copy
we'll put it away.
machine. We're gonna have to buy a copy machine, unless we can listen to Larry. Do you have any other? Can we get around the copy machine with your idea?
Yeah, very simple.
Zoning?
Mr. Metz, we have a good order. We go around here, we talk about it.
Hey,
We let everybody have their turn, but we want to keep it going.
To the chair. It's not gonna be, all right.
Okay.
We can't draw on any ideas right now.
Well, I think we have a desk in the maintenance office. We have a filing cabinet we can put in beside it.
Okay, how are we, yeah, okay, you're gonna take it home, make a copy, and bring it back for me to get it, and then,
That's
That's
it.
crazy.
I'm gonna lock it in the
that's
drawer.
crazy. You're gonna have it at home, and then I'm gonna be going there and thinking I
Leave
got
the
the mail.
originals in the drawer. We'll make a copy of it.
Where?
The originals stay in the drawer.
Where and how? Are we making a motion to buy a copy machine right
Okay.
now?
Am I making
We
the
have one.
copies, or are you making your own copies?
I make a motion that we buy a $150 copy machine, and Matt will install it into his office, and then he can make copies too.
He's got
And get something that's compatible with your laptop. Is that okay?
compatible, we're all.
Okay.
So
Is that
Somebody
good enough
make
for
the
the
motion?
solution?
that's a motion.
Go ahead. Second, Laura?
They won't let me talk to you, Larry. I second it.
Okay. Lewis, trustee Lewis?
Sure.
Trustee Morrison?
Yes, so
And trustee Stone?
can you
yes.
pick us up or does somebody else want to pick us up a copy machine?
I can do that. I'm getting anxious. I'll do that.
Okay.
That it, Kurt?
That's it, thank you.
All right, what we have here, we have the letter that we wanted to express to MS Consultants, an appreciation. Thank you. As ordered recently, our township is looking forward to some professional assistance in some structural issues and sought out several companies to do an inspection and give us a proposal based on those findings. Your company was contacted and you sent out a real professional in every sense. He not only gave us a thorough inspection, but spelled out in detail some things that we could do for a term of time to make certain we weren't spending monies unnecessarily. Those future findings may lead us in a direction later that certainly you and your excellent company will be considered. That employee, Mr. Greg Galletti, also made some recommendations, measures, and steps over a wide spectrum to our own maintenance department that they may be able to do themselves, further saving monies. It's uncommon in today's business climate, like employees like Greg, and even a greater sense MS Consultant does business in such an admirable manner. Is that satisfactory?
Yeah.
If MS Consultant didn't charge us for anything. They looked at our building. They gave us pictures. They gave us some suggestions. I really think they're the only ones that really found the problem, what we believed anyway. So if we could sign that. Karen, I put an address on an envelope attached. If you give an official Ellsworth envelope, I didn't.
Do you want a copy on Ellsworth?
Do you want me to read it again for you, Laura?
No, I can read, I'm good.
That thing is a very nice letter you composed there, Artie.
Okay, I'll move on to the next thing then. Railway improvement, it's called RUMA, the Mahoning County accident agent in a lot of our areas. This was from the Mahoning County engineers. We're behind this one. As far as this Marcellus Shale and the soil exploration that we got, there's seismic testing going on in large parts of the county. There's, in this printed out, there's
Artie, did you put that in our mailboxes? That was your email, it said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't get mine yet. Can't help it.
You want me to take a picture for you next time? time, or are you just being...
No, I'm just, okay.
Maybe you can go over a little bit about what we're looking at here already. You went to the meetings, and it's kind of a very complicated document. It's many pages long. And
Well, what happened is originally there were some Ellsworth roads in it, and, you know, of course, then you want to ask questions. But this was crafted through the prosecutor's office, and they're the ones that also do our legal end of it. There are no Ellsworth roads currently being done on this side of McTesting, but we want to exercise this so that the county can move forward with these companies. This is one company. This may serve as a template for many other companies that do seismic testing or may do, of course, it would have different language in it.
kind of opens up for hauling, too.
If it was roads, that may be a different language, but this is kind of the first one that we've seen, and they need this signed tonight so I can take it to the engineer's office.
What I read in there, if they do any damage, they're responsible, you know, protecting us, so.
We sign here, those are the commissioners over here, we sign on the right-hand side there. Chief, you asked for maps of Deal Lake. I was able to go to GIS. I also had them say that maybe we can, whatever you want to load this into, they can load it.
Yeah, Ellsworth Township, a detailed map for just Ellsworth Township.
Well, I got Deal Lake. I didn't know if you
Okay.
needed a detailed map. He can load that. They have that, but can you grab that for your own? Hold on a minute.
Okay, yeah, that would help too.
What I was able to do is there's house numbers to each of those houses on the map here. But if you take down
Okay.
your computers you have in the fire truck, I'm sure that they can load all that in there for you down there. The GIS department is, it's just north of the courthouse. It's the old jailhouse,
Okay.
the old Mahoning County Jail. It's on the first floor.
Thank you.
So you have a map there. Matt, I want to meet with you and Jeff Williams about this Lordstown salt, and Karen pick up a bill. They said sometime in July. Here it's August, so I'll be contacting them. They're one of the shared, they're one of the shared services about what we're going to do, how they want to do this billing now. Last year we didn't have to do anything because it was our salt left over. This year I want to know if you know, we should have salt left over, we wouldn't have to purchase. Normally one of the things that we're doing with them is we bought collectively together, so that saved them money, so they're providing the loader and loading us, so.
And storage.
And storage. So we want to make sure that we're still in the good on that. So I want to introduce Matt when we go up to that. Mahoning County Engineers, of course, I'm down in office about water problems, issues on Western Reserve Road. This problem started 13 years ago. If you guys know where I'm talking about, you see two people's yards. They're just like a real small lake, and it started when a guy built a house across the road. So they're going to make some suggestions to me. Maybe the township can step forward and maybe write a letter to the prosecutors at that time. I'll be contacting you trustees about that. Let's get the numbers on the turn. I'll take this with me. Today's the 14th, right? Okay. We had in our new business, we had some zoning commission. We already covered that. The public records request, we had citizens ask about the public records request. Let's just bring some clarity about that too. Karen, you are the official public records keeper, except for zoning issues, correct? Those have their own.
Well, I've had public record requests for zoning from Attorney
Yeah.
Matthews. And when I went to the zoning office to fulfill it, I was told all the records I was requesting were at Attorney Finnemore's office. Now, in every public building, the open records policy for Ellsworth Township is posted. It's posted here, it's posted up in the fire hall. So if there's ever a question, they're out there, it's out there. And it has not changed since it was accepted.
And for those people that questioned that, last month, I know when I asked for comments, there was silence about it, but this is the public record request from Ellsworth Township, Mahoning County. Mr. Gedra made the motion, I seconded. This is when it was, the last one was updated.
We updated it with the copies, because part of the public records request was how much the
The
copies.
cost of the
Cost of the
copies.
copies. And that,
The first 5 are free.
But we didn't write a new
but,
policy.
no, it would be all the same, you're
I
right.
think we
You're
just
right.
amended that one.
Okay.
And the amendments up there.
Right.
Listen, the auditor of State of Ohio takes this very seriously. That's why we're to post these. That's why we get sent to training classes, and there's a minimum that we have to do. You can go every year. There's classes they make available, but I'm going to give copies to here to those people that didn't that weren't satisfied and understand. You know that and there's 5 pages here. What I will tell you though is what they constantly say, that the public has the right to know, the public rights to have those records, the public should have those and done in an expeditious manner. So there's copies here. I think some people had asked that question. I made those available. We have temporary part-time help. The discussion in that is, and I think we need to start on the right foot here. When we talk about temporary part-time help, it's as needed. We've agreed on a rate on that, and I think we need to be very clear on how we use this. When we have a project, it sounds like some people on our temporary part-time list may not have the skill set of climbing on roofs. We may have somebody that doesn't have analytical abilities to operate machinery. It may be a person that only could work on a weekend. We have some of those things with part-time temporary help. I understand that. So there's 2 ways to look at this. We can either get a temporary service to do that, or we can get accumulation of people that we pool, and we seek those people when we need those people. I like hiring local people if they're willing to work for those terms of that. We've had 3 people respond. What it takes to add those people to it, I'm sure that there's some scrutiny that we want to look at, that they're physically able to do it. We want to look at that they aren't a person that would hurt the reputation of Ellsworth. We want a person that can help us. Any questions, any comments?
Well, from time to time, we've got a lot of projects that need to be done this summer. Matt's got quite a list there, and we're not really eating them up. The roof has to be done. We've got a problem with the mausoleum roof, and there's other, things. We need a little bit more part-time help. Sometimes everything doesn't fit and people aren't available. I called up and talked to Brad Evans from Kalos. We did that 2 years ago. What the deal is with them, right now we have people collecting unemployment from part-time help because they worked over, so many hours and so much money, so they're able to collect unemployment in the winter. We're facing higher workers' compensation costs. In Kalos, what you do is you pay them, they send somebody out, they pay the workers' comp, they take care of everything. If we want to pay someone $9 an hour, Kalos charges us $13.50. And probably if we figured everything out, that's probably close to what we're paying now. $10 an hour, if we want to pay them $10 an hour, it'll cost us $15. I got some more applications here for Kalos. We have some people here. If we can work local people, I'm more in favor of that, but sometimes we get in a bind. We need somebody to cut grass for a day or 2. Or, if somebody gets sick and we're missing people, if we can't get somebody local to work, I would like to send these applications back to Callis so we're ready and we can give them a call and have them come out. Any comment on that?
No, it's good that you checked that. It gives us another option. Again, we like local people. Laura, there's three candidates that,
You want to see this?
Tell us, sure, do you give it?
Yeah, I got 3 of them from them, and then I got the book. But we have the book from last time. Do you still have it from 2 years ago?
I'll look.
Yeah, I think we do.
When you worked for Cal, I worked for them.
Okay.
Okay. So when you work for them, are you going to set it up that you are their primary employer, or are they going to be working for Callis, and if you don't need them 3 days this week, they can work somewhere else?
You probably have more expertise on this than I do. What would you suggest?
Well, if you don't set them up as specifically for you, they're not necessarily going to be available if you call and need them, because somebody can't come to work today. You may get somebody else, is my point.
We don't necessarily need a particular person, but, I would rather, give us somebody tomorrow, but, we might not need them again for a month.
Well, that's what you're going to take them what you get.
Yeah.
You
But they have to be
realize
able to
that.
perform the task. If they can't do what we need them to do,
Do you also realize that if they get here and they don't want to cut grass or weed whack, they can lay the equipment down and go home?
well, what you have to request somebody to cut grass, you have to tell them the task before.
Yeah, but that is how it is with temporary service. If you are working for them, if it's that way for the employer and the employee,
Yeah.
either one can at a drop of a hat leave, or you can tell them to.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you
just
can
so
look
you're
That
aware.
MS letter.
I didn't go into detail
The MS.
about that, but say the guy comes out and he says, I don't want to cut grass,
You want to talk to
and they send him out to cut grass, you don't have to pay him either, do you?
No, well, if he
You
cuts
want what?
grass for an
I just
hour,
want to talk to you
You
about
pay
it.
him for
paying
that.
him.
We can deal with that.
Okay, just so
Would
you're
that work
aware.
with your facilitating that? But I'd like to use somebody local first. So, Karen, could you send one of these applications in for us?
To-
Callis.
Okay.
And then we'll be registered with them. And I
Oh,
was,
you mean an application so that we are
It-
registered
yeah.
as wanting employees?
yeah,
Sure.
in case we have a bigger project where we need a couple extra people, we'll be registered. And, we'll give them ample time, try and give them a couple days if we can, or a day, tell them, the specific task.
And what-
And I'll get you hooked up with the gentleman I was talking with, Brad Evans.
Okay.
Could you look at those real quick, those 3 initial, if you think those people...
Is there a specific, when I haven't looked at this, but when I fill this out, does it ask for a wage? What
Okay.
are you looking at paying?
Because it's temporary, I feel we should offer them the $10 an hour.
So,
So it's going to cost us $15 an hour.
are the other 2 in agreement?
Yeah, I think that's a rate just for temporary help.
Sure, we try local first. Artie, you didn't finish,
Yeah, I'm going to sign that. Yeah, I think
Okay.
he would be,
Yeah.
I think he'd be really good.
Mhm.
I do.
I just think, we had the list before where we still had names that were approved under, and then as needed, whoever's available, we just kind of go down the list and call. So I think we just kind of add everybody to the list, right?
Right.
With the list, I think, we'll give these applications to Matt. You can talk with them if you want to interview them and put them on an as-needed basis. And we'll leave that up to your discretion. So do we need to make a motion to let our facilitator go through these? And
I think we need a motion to add them to the temporary help list that we started.
if they don't work out, then don't have them come back.
And then-
And safety first, always give them a little orientation.
Okay, and I didn't have a lot of time here, you can see the anxiety. I'm going to say this. we're putting more and more on our facilitator and our part-time help. He's no more than that. Certainly, we need to be looking at his status along this thing here too, and certainly the sooner the better. We talked about evaluations. We talked about those things. This guy's skill set, this guy's performance, this guy's his responsibility, his prudence, his way of shared services, a way I think we need to dabble on our thinking hats before this one gets away about the status of Matt. So it'll be a point where we have discussion, but there'll be some executive session, and I'm thinking that we need to do.
Let's do an evaluation at the end of the year already, and let's take a look at the...
No, I don't think we're going to do at the end of the year what happened the last time we went through the end of the year. I think this board needs to take action. I think they need to take action sooner than later. It's been 5 months, and I think we need to prepare ourselves sooner. I don't want this to become political. No, I think that none of us would up here. These are the 3 people that we're adding to the part-time list.
Keep the envelopes with it in case we don't have the
Well,
Sure,
we just threw a deck of cards at.
Right now, Matt's working up to 30 hours a week. What are we looking for really here?
Wasn't he at 32?
Well, I think that's going to take some dialogue and discussion with him, and I think we need to spell it out, and I think we need to, when we talk about personnel, it's generally an executive session, so we need to limit ourselves what we're doing here. I just think we just have more to train new people. He does a safety course with them. He does remind, it came to mind while we were discussing this tonight, and it's big when you take those kind of responsibilities. I don't know, but let's be ready to talk about that. Can we talk to you one-on-one about that, Matt, Laura, Kurt,
Whatever you want.
Okay. All right, we have usually the good of the order, and this is the part I asked that if I could be excused. Anybody have any questions for me? I want to turn it over to the Vice Chair, Mr. Metz. You had a question there?
I just wanted to offer what I think would be a simple solution to your mail problem was any document that the 4 of you should have. Wouldn't it be easier to scan it, email it to each one of you with a return that you accepted it?
And if the scanner's not working, and if we have computer problems, and
We are in the process of getting new computers this summer, okay? The UAN is giving us new computers. This computer right now is so full in memory that it functions very slowly.
No, it won't scan it.
And, well, you can scan it, but you might have to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning to be able to connect to the internet and get it to work. It just was mine in my other office.
I just thought it would be...
And it used to be the method I used, but then when I've had them work on it from the backside from Columbus, and it's so full, and its memory it's worn out.
I just wanted to offer that.
It's a good idea.
And that's good. Gary's came to me about 2 months ago. There's a problem we have near a ditch near your road, that Little Brig and Berlin Station Road, you know. I will be seeing Tim Burkhardt about that tomorrow. Where did that rumor go? I can't read.
Right here. He had it, because I put Tim Burkhart's email on top of it.
Lastly, trustees. No, I haven't.
Yeah, I won't take the time here.
We asked, this is what's involved in dealing with distressed merchandise, or properties. Homes that become vacant, homes that become blighted, This was that simple checklist. And if you would, each trustee got a copy of those, and I have it, thank you, everybody. I put it where I wouldn't forget it. This is something to review at a time we maybe have to hire somebody for this. These monies come around and there are some partial payments. We have to give this people back, something back, and we need to stabilize our neighborhoods. We have some homes that are really in disrepair, and we're very fortunate in our township. When you talk to other townships, you're talking numbers 600, 700. If you drove through Youngstown, and you know, there used to be 7 houses, now there's 1. Well, Austin Town's moving in that direction, and Boardman, and they've been really proactive. The Attorney General has made some money available for these programs, but we may have, and I do believe, and I'll be standing in that direction, that we do have a responsibility to help stabilize our community here too.
And if there are some distressed homes that we need to look at, please inform us. You know, some vacant homes.
There's a couple areas around right on the corners. We all pass them.
Okay, it's a good order. I may have
Hey, Larry, before you leave, I got a comment.
Yes.
You'll probably be involved with. You're talking about temporary people. There's one other option you really need to look at, and we use it. Now, I don't know how callous it compares to ManCam. We use ManCam. If we send somebody to them, and they are put on our list, it's about half of what, how do I want to say, it's a lot less added on, because we're furnishing the people to them. Everything still goes through ManCam. You do not have to call ManCam and say, send me so-and-so. You call the person direct when you want them, but they're still handled under ManCam. They take care of the workers' comp, they take care of everything, and you get a bill. And I think if you guys are looking at temporary work, it's another way. Then you take your local people, you put them through ManCam, and they get all of that. And it's, I want to say that they're only adding, when we do that, they're only adding like $2.50 to maybe $3 on top. But I think you ought to, you know, take a look at that way. I don't know whether Callis even has that, but we use ManCam, and then we can go out here, and we had several people, that retirees and one thing and another, and all we had to do was call the individual and say, come to work, and then Tracy at the end of the week will send over, or like on a Monday, she sends to ManCam the hours, and then they get their check from ManCam. But then they take care of all the workers' comp, all of that.
Yeah. That's what.
Well, they don't do a drug test. Really? Oh no, because you're supplying the people.
Yeah.
You're taking that responsibility. There's no drug test. They don't do any testing. All you do is you send the person down. They fill out the paperwork, and now it's, you know, all you have to do though. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to call ManCam or the company. You call the person direct, they come. It's just another option that I think you ought to look at.
Okay. I started with some of the other surrounding townships. Berlin Township has no employees. Everything goes through Callis. They have people there that work all the time. So they've had some bad experiences with workers' comp, people suing and everything else. Well, that when they run everybody through Callis, that clears everything up.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And then anybody that comes there is covered by workers' comp and all that. You don't have to, they don't become your employee, and you don't have to make sure that they're doing all of this and all of this and all of this.
But
you know.
what I'm kind of looking at, we got a couple people, we got 3 applications, but if that doesn't work out, they'll send us somebody.
Right, but what I'm saying is you could take those 3 people or anybody that's in the community that you want.
Yeah, and run them through that.
Put them to ManCam. You can still call them direct and say, hey, I want you today, and I only want you for 4 hours, or I want you for 5 hours, but it still goes through ManCam.
And I think they have the same service here too. So
I wrote all that down. I'm going to check that out, Frank. That's good. I like it.
I just wanted, before you left, that's all.
with regrets, trustees, vice chair, can you take over? I was supposed to be working 9. Really? I hope it's real close.
Drive careful.
Thank you. And Bob, tell your wife about those memory trees. That's a really good idea.
Announcements, the next meeting will be September 11th, 2013, and we'll go around the room now for the good in the order. Start here with Bob.
Just that, if I could send a representative, because I'd like to be at a 9/11 memorial that day, that's 9/11, so.
Okay.
If I could attend
That's
the
not a
9/11
problem.
memorial.
Okay. Thank you. Larry?
Yeah, my suggestion, Karen, I think this would be even easier if, when you take the mail in, just take note who it's from, who it's to, and then make that list and email it to everybody. That way everybody on board knows what they got. It's all public knowledge anyway, so it'd be even better than scanning.
We have to scan it in to email it.
Well, I'm just saying.
I like that idea too, because if we're waiting for something, we could go up where normally I just go up once a
You
week.
each know who got what from who.
Yeah.
Okay?
Would that be? Okay.
And also I find it ironic that it took minutes to get a copy machine voted through, when it took us 3 months to get a copy machine for our township hall.
Because the idea was so good, that's why.
It's just amazing
Second time around.
how things work around here.
We have experience now.
Yeah.
Bob?
Getting better.
Lee?
Yeah,
Fred? Jim?
I want to go home.
Yeah, I have a comment. I think it's unfair that Mr. Spencer made a statement that will now be reflected in the minutes that our zoning inspector is not doing his job because he doesn't attend the trustee meetings. I think that's very unfair and inappropriate, Larry. And it doesn't say that he has to be here in the meeting in person. He can send a report, just like EMS does, just like the zoning commission does. We have other heads of other areas who do not attend the trustee meetings. So I think that's a pretty big leap to make the assumption that someone isn't doing their job. If you have a question, you can call him on the phone, you can go to his office, he's there, his hours are posted. I think your comments were very unfair.
They would be if I were making them up. Unfortunately, this is his job description.
Does it say he has to be here in person at every trustee meeting?
It says give a report, monthly trustee meeting.
Give a report. He gave a report. He submitted it in
Last month
writing, just
he did.
like EMS
Last
did,
month-
just like zoning commission did.
Last month, he did not give a report. He was
All right, he
not here.
hasn't won. How many years, Larry?
Okay.
How many years?
Thank you. Go on to the next for the good in the order. Shelley or Kelly? I get confused up here.
I'm done.
Any other comment? Thank you all for coming.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn.
You made it.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
It's unanimous.